It's 42 degrees here in Ohio, and we're doing Zombeavers. And yes, I know it's the end of May. Now, the reason we're not doing Wolf Cop, like I said we were, is because Wolf Cop is no longer on Prime. I'm sure it will return someday, so I'll leave it on the list of movies to do. But Zombeavers you will not be disappointed with. It is a movie about zombie beavers. But surprisingly, it does not take place in Canada, where the beaver is the national animal. It takes place in Indiana, which for some reason they gave the Indiana people southern accents, though most people in Indiana do not have southern accents. How do I know this? Because I live in Ohio, which is directly next to Indiana, and most people in Ohio also do not have southern accents when movies give us southern accents. It starts out with a canister of toxic waste falling into the river and hitting a beaver dam. And then we meet our three female stars, Jen, Zoe, and Mary, who are going to a cabin in the woods, which Mary forgot to mention. She said no cell phones, but forgot to mention there was no service on cell phones, which is always nice and is true where I live at in Ohio. At least in my house. And we meet the nosy neighbor who says, "Don't worry, my daughter has sex with all sorts of people," which is always nice to know from your neighbor. And then we see them all in bikinis, and we get to see Zoe topless, which always makes a movie better, seeing a woman topless. And we meet the hunter who tells them to cover up, because he is gay and afraid of naked women. After they go to look at a beaver dam. And then we meet their men who surprise them, though Jen is broken up with hers because he cheated on her. And then we get to see sex scenes, which always make a movie better. Finally, the beavers attack the next day when they're swimming and cut off Buck's foot, which it's not a tree, so they must have had some trouble with it, and trap two of the girls, Zoe and Mary, and the three guys on the raft in the middle of the lake, and Zoe's dog. Jen goes back to the house and is confronted by the beaver from last night who they tried to kill, and Jen manages to stop it but gets scratched in process. And the landline is down. Sam, Jen's ex-boyfriend, throws the dog in the water to distract the beavers, and they all make it back to the house. Tommy, Mary's boyfriend, decides to take Buck and Zoe to go get help, because Buck needs to go to a hospital to get his foot reattached, which anybody with a sewing kit could reattach his foot, just not well. But they run into a problem. The way is blocked by a tree, and then the beavers knock a tree on Tommy. But they meet the hunter again, who once again tells Zoe to cover up, because he is afraid of the naked human form. So she gets naked and gives him a lap dance, at which point his head explodes. No, that doesn't actually happen, but it would be funny if it did. So they go back to the house where Mary, Jen, and I think his name is Sam, have boarded up all the doors and windows, but treated it like Night of the Living Dead, though beavers can chop wood. So Zoe, Buck, who's barely alive at this point, and the hunter go to the neighbor's house, and the neighbors have all been killed. And then And then Mary reads up on the beavers, and they realize that they can tunnel. And so Mary goes to lay down. Buck volunteers to cauterize Buck's, or the hunter volunteers to cauterize Buck's wound, because there's no way that foot can be reattached now. It's been like 6 hours. So you could still attach it. Just put it on his forehead like this. Then he could have like a foot on his forehead, and he could walk like this. Boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba. Be doing like cartwheels when he's walking. So Mary's lying down, and Jen comes in, and we're looking for some hot lesbian action. But then Jen turns into a beaver, and we're looking for some hot beaver action. Too bad Sam comes in and knocks Jen out with a baseball bat. So then the beavers are coming through the boards, or the floorboards. And Mary and Sam go in the bathroom, get naked, and are making out. Meanwhile, Buck comes to life as a beaver, kills the hunter. Zoe goes upstairs where the old lady whose daughter has a bunch of sex comes to life as a beaver, and Zoe jumps out the second-story window. In the other house, the beaver has lit the house on fire. And Mary and Sam are still making out, thinking, man, we've got it hot in here. Until Jen chews through a board and chews Sam's dick off. So Mary runs away, looks around and says, I'm fucked, before Zoe steals the hunter's truck and bursts through the wall. And Zoe and Mary make it to the blockade to the fallen tree after fighting their way through Beaver Bear, Beaver Hunter, Beaver Neighbors, Beaver Buck, Beaver Jen, Beaver Deer, Beaver Antelope, Beaver Moose, Beaver Wrestler, Beaver. All sorts of beavers. Leave it to Beaver, he's there. But they have to walk once they reach the tree. And Mary pulls the gun on Zoe, and says, you're going to turn into a beaver, I have to shoot you. And then Mary turns into a beaver. Zoe pulls her axe out and kills Mary. And Zoe goes looking for help and finds a truck and goes to wave it down. And it's the truck that's sprayed the chemicals because Bill Burr's the driver and he wasn't looking. And he's still not looking. And he runs down Zoe. And that is the end of the movie. But stay through the credits, because there's a blooper reel, there's the awesome Zombeavers song, and then at the end there's an end credit scene with a fly sucking some beaver blood of the Zombeavers and going back and sharing it with his whole fly colony. This movie is awesome. It is funny. There's nudity. It is funny. That's action. And there's lots of Zombeavers. It is on Prime. Go watch it. And join me next week for Randy Orton's first WWE gimmick. Also got into some of his OVW history. And his first finisher. And Abnormal Attraction on Tubi. It is a weird movie. That is all.